What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. My name is Kevin. We're joined with Zach Stone today for our Friday weekly market watch. Every week, Zach Stone and I join in so that we can talk about Lorcana news, meta trends, and card prices. Hope you guys had an awesome week as we prepare for not only like one of the last weekends of set championships, but it really does feel like the beginning of Fabled this week. We're getting all these card reveals. You can pre-order Fabled online through TCG Player, but we always recommend you go to your local game store because if you order them through TCG Player, they're not going to get shipped out until September 5th. And as we all know, a week before this date, you can find Fabled at certain Disneyland parks, certain stores, and your local game store. So reach out to your local game store, your local card game vendor for some pre-orders because right now the pre-order price is pretty up there, $135. I feel like I haven't seen a pre-order price for a Lorcana set this high, very close to MSRP in a while, right? And this set is pretty hyped. There's a lot of stuff going on this week. A lot of reprints were announced. A lot of cards are going to be rotated into the meta. And we also got some cool reveals for some awesome enchanted rares. Zach Stone, how are we doing today on this lovely Friday afternoon?
I'm doing very well, Kevin. Thank you so much for asking. But yes, my Lorcana Goon, today is Friday, and I am excited to go over the market watch again with you guys. So the Fabled pre-order prices are a little bit higher than what I've seen other sets, but not too much more. I think we actually saw Reina Jafar start off around like 130, 120-ish. And then it made more sense to, go to your local game stores and reach out to see if they were going to have pre-orders because around 110 to 120 is what local game stores would offer some people, and just depending on their supply and their local scene. I know we're a little bit more fortunate being in the Southern California area too, on top of being able to go to the Disneyland parks to pick up the product. I'm going to make sure I also go that Friday and see what's up and get some of the promos that they're going to be handing out. I know that everybody likes to go to the parks and get all the promos that they have, but there is that other Quest promo for the bell that was revealed too. So that's another reason to be going to the Disneyland parks. But yeah, honestly, I'm excited for Fabled. I think Reina Jafar was Fabled waiting room, and now it's here.
And with Fabled and all of these reveals, we're getting a lot of reprint reveals. Last week, we got the announcement that Ariel Sonic Warrior was going to be returning as a lower rarity. So that's another big thing, too, is we found out last week that there's going to be some rarity shifts, and we've been seeing some of these as well in this week's announcement. I recommend checking lorcanaplayer.com for all the card lists for Set 9. It's a very convenient website there. But Ariel Sonic Warrior, we saw these shoot up from around 120 to lowest verified today being 180. There's 3 of them listed right there by MTG Solid, but the recent sales are closer to 150, right? One for 150, 129, 180, and 150 were last week. But as of this week, settling at around $150. Card is still very good, and I think it gets better as the format progresses, especially if we're losing a lot of that Ruby 3 strength removal, right? But are we going to have a good shift target for this Ariel? I don't know. Who's to say? Same goes for this Robin Hood champion of Sherwood. Zach Stone, you pointed out to me that they've revealed the 2-cost Robin Hood. I believe it's the uninkable, the character that deals 1 damage to an opposing character, right? But normally the prime shift target for this Robin Hood champion of Sherwood is the Robin Hood Goons character, the 1-cost inkable 2 strength 2 willpower, no effect. That's usually the character you want to play to shift this Robin Hood champion of Sherwood, which by the way today is listed lowest verified at 200, which that's where it was last week. Market price is still around 140, and recent sales are not showing that $200 price point. Actually, there hasn't been many sales in the last couple weeks because the recent sale is around 150, 160. But they're definitely listed at $200. So if you want to get one online or probably from your local vendor, you're more than likely going to have to pay this $200 price point. I think Robin Hood is a lot safer of like an enchanted rare rather than something like Ariel Sonic Warrior, mainly because we have like 8 formats of meta to go based off of, and I feel like most Amber Steel decks and a lot of Steel decks in general were able to utilize this Robin Hood shift package. But once again, do you think we're getting the Robin Hood Goons back?
I would really like that. I would love to find out the Robin Hood Goons comes back. Remember, there's a lot of Robin Hood support from set 5, which that is not getting rotated out in this competitive constructed meta. And we also really need to remember too that cards in set 9 will be around for the following year. So they're going to be planning to make more cards and support for the future of the game with these cards in mind. And yes, this Robin Hood has been very impactful. Right when it first was released, it was played in Amber Steel decks as a complete 4 of. And when Bucky, the strategist that no longer can exist because of the errata, this was a very solid Floodborne character to play and trigger the Bucky for a discard. But yeah, it's good to see that this enchanted gets to make a return. And another return as well is the Ursula Deceiver. This one has the D23 artwork and rarity, and the card's been going up. It's $70 right now, and it had a price point around $50 a little bit beforehand. So I think for what it's worth, this is something to really consider. Remember, it only comes out of that D23 2024 collector set. And I'm not too sure if they're going to be giving out any more for any like raffles or anything like that. But who knows? Because we all thought it was just over when they sold them at the parks, right?
Yeah, this is one of those sets where I'm always kind of weary about like investing or holding long term promo sets for sure with Lorcana. Unless it's the very first D23 set, they're not really gonna hold my interest like that. I think just sealed product is the way to go for that. But this card overall, very meta relevant, very strong. This is the highest rarity version of this Ursula Deceiver, and we've seen it sell for almost $100 at its peak before. I think this card's very good, and with some of the reveals they've been giving us, Zach Stone, I'm so glad they gave us this card back in set 9. Circle of Life, bro. That card looks so insane. It's a new Amber card. By the way, if you guys want to hear our more detailed opinions on some of the cards that have been revealed, Zach and I were live yesterday and we were just yapping about all these new cards, kind of theorizing, deck building in our heads, what the new color combinations are going to look like with some of these new cards. And Circle of Life kept coming up as like one of the prime like amber strategies we want to try out. And Circle of Life is a high cost song, so you can't really afford to keep high cost songs in your hand currently because of cards like Bare Necessities, Ursula Deceiver, etc. And with the return of Ursula Deceiver, I think that's a very good balance to a power card like Circle of Life. I think a lot of people are already thinking of crazy combos with, Big Mickey. You send it to your discard pile, you bring it back with Circle of Life, right? But now we got the Ursula going up in price as well. Some reprints not necessarily going up in price, like Alice Growing Girl. We did see that this card was going to be returning as a super rare, if I'm not mistaken. Very cool. It does have an Enchanted, and the Enchanted hasn't really been moving. There's been like a couple sales since the announcement, right? But it's still settling at around $115 at the most. So not too crazy yet. I feel like because this Alice came out in set 2 and did not really see any play throughout its time frame in these like first 8 sets. I don't think a lot of people have confidence in it. However, second start to the right, this card shooting up in price. Yesterday, these were selling for a little bit less than $30. It's closer to around 25-ish dollars. And today, lowest verified is now $37.91 by Ken Collects. Then it jumps up to $40 right here, $39.95 by Tier 1 Gaming, California. Shout out you guys. Second start to the right. This card also not seeing much play, but so far we haven't seen the return of Friends on the Other Side. We don't know if cards like Merlin Rabbit are returning. So if we're only looking at maybe Genie, Finders Keepers, and this card as our draw engine for Amethyst, this card seems like it has some potential, right? We're getting Powerline, which essentially gives you singers for Ruby. I feel like this card's good. I think a lot of people share that similar sentiment. It was announced yesterday that this was going to be reprinted in the new set, and this Enchanted Rare going up in price. When do you think it's going to stop, Zach Stone? I was very tempted. Somebody, shout out Finch and Sparrow, I believe it was them. They had 10 of them. They had 10 of them listed at $30 each, and I was like this close to just like spending $300 for no reason. Even just to get some, because I think the card has potential. Right now, I wonder where it's going to stop. But it's looking like it's trending upwards towards like $40-$50.
Well, I'm not too sure where it's going to settle. I like the increase where it's going right now, but I'm not confident that it does go higher than around like 70, 80 price point unless it gets play or gets touched by Zan Syed. You know what I mean? He breathes on a card and then he makes the card go up. So I like to see this card go up. It's one of my favorite like Sing Together cards, and that's next to Under the Sea, of course. It's like my favorite overall, but it's not necessarily a card that I'm going to imagine comes out right away. It's going to take some time, but we're getting more singers. Who knows? Ruby Am singers can sing together, and then you're going to draw a bunch of cards. Look at This Family, another Enchanted song that we saw get graduated into the Fabled set. And this Enchanted has also been going up a little bit more in price. It is also around like 45, 46 just dollars. And I will more admit that there are people that have been asking me if I have any copies of the Enchanted version, and I just don't. So it's a card that I'd recommend picking up while they're still around that $45, $47 price point. Kevin, do you have any look at These Families?
I don't. I do not. And I really like this card. I was trying to make this card work when it first came out in set 4 in Amber Steel because I felt like Ursula Vanessa and like Cinderella Ballroom Sensation or a combination of Ariel was really convenient to sing this. And now that we're getting Ruby singers, I can't stress this enough. I feel like Ruby with the singer capability is going to add some really cool combo lines for a lot of the deck building strategies. And this card returning means that I can finally use it. I really like Encanto as a movie, you know. So I like look at this family overall like as a card that I want to play, and I was a little disappointed that it did not see the meta capabilities that I thought it could, and now it might, and it's gonna be really fun to see people try this out in their deck. I'm not gonna be surprised when this ends up being kind of a higher priced enchanted rare because it does feel very playable. Maybe not as playable as something like Wrong Lever, one of the best cards right now in Emerald. I feel like if you're playing Emerald, you're more than likely playing Emerald Amethyst and using this Wrong Lever, Pull the Lever combo. Today, lowest verified for your Wrong Levers are going to be $180 for a lowest verified right here by Altered Games. Before that, some non-verified sellers as well. We're closer to 150 still. We looked at this about 2-3 weeks ago. They were hitting $100 and they've just been selling more and more and more in these last couple weeks. And there's not that many listings available. Rain of Jafar is one of the newer sets. And honestly, I feel like people aren't really opening that set too much right now, especially because, like you just said, Zach, it felt more like a waiting room for Fabled. Everyone's kind of just chilling and thinking, I don't know what to build yet. You know, rotations come in, some of my decks are changing. Maybe I want to play Pull the Lever, Wrong Lever combo. Maybe I don't. There's not that many of these enchanteds out there in circulation, right? Into the Unknown, also kind of going back up in price a little bit. We did see the market price at these settle for around 250. Today, lowest verified is now 285 or 282 actually. Bill Guns Gaming, then Infinite TCG FW. Shout out you guys. Getting very close to this $300 mark. I feel like asking 300 on this card is not at all like incorrect. You know, some have been selling for 298, 265, 289. Very close to that $300 mark already. I think a lot of people are thinking of using this with that new Ursula that was revealed. There's a new Super Ursula that got revealed recently that lets you play songs from your hand for free potentially while simultaneously exerting an opposing character. So Into the Unknown can, can really combo off with that card, right?
Well, not only can it combo off with that, we're just going to see Elsa come back, and that is the Spirit of Winter from the first chapter, graduated into Fabled and Into the Unknown. Hopefully, Let It Go maybe sees a graduation reprint, and there's all her songs ready to be casted. But I still think Blurple is going to be in a very decent spot. It all really depends on a few more cards potentially graduating that we're hoping for. But another card that did graduate is the Hades, and this card has been going up even before the confirmed announcement of this card is still been around like $16-17, was still going up around that time, but now it's cracking over 20, and I'm not surprised. There's so many people wanting to play blue decks, and we did see that enchanted art reveal, and boy oh boy will that be the chase from the set. I honestly can't wait for people to be asking for just that more than the iconic rares. Cold foils today are still around like $47-ish. I think there's not too many that are available right now. I think you only have about 9 sellers
Yeah,
to
they're
choose
everywhere.
from,
The pricing
and
is
that
everywhere on
just
these.
it's all up to the person if they're trying to sell it for like a deal or if they're just trying to get rid of it. But if I had any, I would probably be selling around like $47-48.
This is an interesting one for me because Hades is from the first chapter, right? It's a first chapter legendary. The cold foil first chapter legendaries tend to be a lot more expensive than other legendaries in the game, cold foil. However, two things, right? We're getting an enchanted Hades, and we've always seen that enchanted rare cards. And we've always seen that if a legendary has an enchanted rare, then what ends up happening is the pricing for the foil and the non-foil for that legendary usually end up being pretty similar, right? Like Robin Hood is like $30 and the cold foil was 35. Diablo was like $35 and the cold foil was 40. Hades, substantial difference, $20, $40. I wonder if this enchanted rare is going to change that, right? Number two, I am actually very curious to see if they're going to add the texture on these new enchanteds. I hope they do. I really hope they do because I want to see the Elsa, the Maleficent, the Hades. I want to see these all with that legendary texture that we started seeing post Shimmering Skies, right? So then we're gonna be able to differentiate. Oh, is this a first chapter Hades or is this a reprint Hades? And I'm just curious to see where these prices are gonna go because of that, right? You're gonna have the original foil Hades, and you're gonna have your textured Hades, and you're gonna have your foil textured Hades, and an enchanted Hades. 80s. Really cool. One of the best cards in blue, though. Can't deny that. It's one of the only cards that's going to do what it's going to do. It's going to remove a character immediately when it lands on the board. Speaking of removing characters, wrong lever. Great for that if you like removing characters. Non-enchanted rare obviously selling for closer to $3 now at least. Lowest verified is 187, but you got to pay some extra shipping around 131. Then 196 right here by ANS Lorcana. You're getting very close to paying more than $3 on these. Iago, Giant Spectral Parrot. These are pretty expensive right now too. Lowest verified is 654 by Cards and Pops. They have three of them, but after that they're already jumping to $7. The pre-sale place 685 right there, shipping included.
Fun fact that I just do not have any copies of this card available. So yes, if you guys have any Iagos right now, I'm looking to pick up some Iagos. I've done this before on the Market Watch where I do mention I am having a little bit of a bounty. And if you guys didn't know, I also vend at the Frankenstein's Collectible Show every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. So please check me out over there in booth M4. I'm in the card dungeon on your left-hand side when you first walk in there. And it's an amazing place. Take your friends, take your family. It's an awesome place to explore, find some collectibles. So yeah, I'm looking to pick up, until I get about 20 copies of this card, I'll pay like $6 each on a copy. So bring your Iagos, guys. I need some inventory restock, but I know Kevin also vends. And Kevin, where do you vend at?
I am located at the Ninja Exchange Collectible Expo. That is in Carlsbad. It's San Diego County. So if you guys are ever driving through Southern California, maybe on your way to like Legoland or something like that, you can stop by. And we have a booth there. And we're there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They have like store hours based on like the mall that it's connected to. So it's not open all day. But, we do some pretty cool stuff there. We got tournaments going on. And you can come visit us and check out the Lorcana Goons community down here in the Southern California area. And same thing. We pick up cards. If you guys have other card games, we do it all too. So if you have any Diablos, I'm pretty stocked up on Diablos. I could use some Iagos too, though, on because the Iago is really popular right now. I wanted to mention the cold foils, by the way. If you have cold foils or non-foils, they're very close to the same price right now. So same thing. If you have any cold foils of these cards, feel free to come visit Zach Stone and I and cash out on those. But we do have the Diablo Obedient Raven today selling for $3. These have just always gone up. As of now, we don't know any confirmation on whether or not we are getting Chernobog reprinted or Magic Brooms. And Diablo one cost Raven is the only one cost Amethyst character left to play, is what it feels like. I feel like you could maybe play Pain, right? Because Pain replaced Olaf as a vanilla 1/3 character. However, other than that, you're probably going to have to gravitate towards Diablo, or this is going to be your first pick every time. So this card, uncommon from set 6, shooting up to $3 each right now. I don't know about you, but I feel like if you're getting these for less than $3, that's a deal right now because they're pretty expensive. You pointed this one out to me, Zach. Rapunzel, the High Climber, shooting up to $10. This legendary from Random Jafar. Very interesting. Doesn't see any meta play. It doesn't really see any interest. I haven't seen anybody really say like why or like what's going on. Like how are you gonna use this next format? The only thing I can think of is two things. This works well with the new Dumbo that gives all your evasive characters the ability to draw a card. And number two, maybe people know something we don't. Maybe they know that we're not getting Brawl reprinted or cards like that because the two strength on these characters, right? That's what was really hard to justify playing them. The two strength, they automatically lose out to anything like Brawl or Medusa and cards like that. But maybe they're not coming back. But as of right now, the cold foils are still pretty cheap compared to the non-foils. Look at this, $11 for a cold foil by Confield Comics, and then Dead Slime has them for $9.75. They kind of jump up to $12 here by Wanna Smash, but nothing too crazy. This does have an enchanted though, so remember that. This does have an enchanted.
Yeah, I was actually just going to point that out. So good call out on that one. It's this Rapunzel High Climber that's kind of climbing high in price. It's unironic there, but I don't know if this card is going to be that impactful if there is any sort of removal. We did see Under the Sea graduate, so that does take care of this Rapunzel.
True, very true.
But it being evasive, it being evasive means that you have to put a little bit more effort into dealing with it. So I can understand, like, even the Iago we just talked about only has 4 strength and can't just cleanly out the Rapunzel right away, and preventing your opponents from questing still slow the game down. But
Yeah.
another Rapunzel that we're actually going to talk about that's still high in price right now is the Gifted with Healing. This is from the first chapter, and they're still around like $30. Like, I think that this card, even if it doesn't graduate, is still going to maintain a little bit of a higher price point just for the sheer fact that it's Rapunzel. But if it ever does graduate, people are going to want to have their copies rather than have to scramble to get them. We will have the Infinity meta coming in later November, and that is also for that whole new world promo event on top of the Infinity DLC we'll have later next year. So yeah, this is still a card that will be around for a while. If it ever does graduate into any other sets, then it's going to impact a lot. So I think she'll be missed if she doesn't make the graduation. But good times, Rapunzel. Good times.
Yeah, there's just a theory going around that the cards that are on the cover of the Ravensburger Lorcana puzzles that were just announced, those are the cards that are going to graduate. Those are the cards that are going to make it to post rotation. Rapunzel's not on there. And then I know Zach, you've been theorizing that every color is probably getting a downgrade in rarity, right? We've seen some cards return from super as rares and legendaries as supers, and we are yet to see an amber downgrade in rarity, right? If I'm not mistaken. And I know we were talking about this earlier, and I was thinking I would love to see Rapunzel or Kita as the downgrade, and I know you had some opinions too, right?
Yeah, Kita or Mufasa, actually. I mean, if Rapunzel were to be downgraded, it would be near blasphemous, but
Really, you think
I'd like it for it to
so?
return. Well, for the rarity to be downgraded, that's a legendary here and there. It would be Surfer Stitch that should have been downgraded, but who knows? I don't, I do care, so I'm not going to say who cares. I do care if it does get a downgrade. So I personally would hope it would still be graduated and still maintain its rarity, but if the card does come back, I'll just be happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would like to see a downgrade. I feel like there's so many players who wanted to build certain amber decks, and the $50 price point of Rapunzel up until just 3 weeks ago was definitely holding them back, right? So if that is what it takes to get people to build the deck the way they want to build it, I'd be totally down to see it. But you never know; it might not even happen this set, right? They could start doing reprints in new sets. I think they've implied they're going to just add reprints into newer sets in the future, like they did the Captain Hook, right? And we could just get a Rapunzel in set 10, 11, 12. You just never know. Bagheera, the Guardian Jaguar. I've noticed that this card has been seeing a little bit more sales movement in the last couple days, kind of selling for a little bit closer to $8. Not sure why some recent sales here are in the $3 mark. That sounds like a really good come up. But as of today, lowest verified is 839 by OMG CCG. Then VA sales has it for 850. So at least an $8 legendary. I guess the reason I'm bringing this up is because new format, new meta. We don't know what's going to be going on, and some of these legendaries I feel like are a little slept on. Right? Look at this cold foil pricing. $10. It's $10.75 for a cold foil, or around almost $9 for a non-foil. Sometimes I just feel like stocking up on certain cards are good. People come by with certain cards, and whenever I see certain things, I'm like, ooh, that'd be really nice to have in the inventory in case that card ever becomes broken. But Gear is one of those cards. I feel like this card's just good. Hopefully, this card sees some meta play because maybe I'm just coping. I like it. A card that for sure has been seeing a lot of chatter is Monstro, the infamous whale. People are already coming up with like burst 10 lore combos with the Dumbo and the Monstro and silly things like that, right? And every time a wacky card comes out that can that can be abused with Monstro, somebody comes up with a combo and posts it on Twitter, and everyone freaks out. I think it's funny. But Monstro, very strong card. I think you should just have at least a playset in your arsenal for like any deck you want to play that's purple. Lowest verified is at least $1. You're gonna have to pay $1 plus shipping, so around $2 each for your Monstros, right, Zach?
Yeah, this is just a hard card to let go at $1 where I'm at personally. So it's something that I almost would just want to pay $1 to just have in and sell for around two just to make that dollar flip. But it's a card that probably goes up when we see more of the reveals and graduated cards from Fabled. But the cold foils are like $9 to $10 a piece, and a lot of the cold foils I have been seeing too have been a little scratched. I'm not a big fan of the quality control and the range of heart
Yeah, I've
foils.
heard that too.
So share in the comments down below. Yeah, share in the comments down below if you guys have any experiences with that, because we're just trying to get some overall feedback. I think it's important for Ravensburger to kind of let the printers know, like they do have to contract these printings of the cards, so they have a little bit more say. But the control aspect, it's up to the printing company. But we hope that some changes can be made because these foiling look beautiful for the Palace Heist Lumineer's Quest. This Goofy right now is around 15. I saw it around $16 not that long ago. And honestly, I think that this card with Rapunzel potentially not graduating. I think this is just going to take the spot at the 4 cost character. Its stats aren't
Yeah.
bad. A 4 cost 3/4 with 2 lore, but its ability is why I think it just deserves a space in the Amber Steel aggro mid range decks, is because we saw Lawrence get graduated, and that's a
Yes.
card I've always talked about, being able to swing into something with 3 strength. But now you can re-ready that Lawrence after you swing, which means you can keep questing with Lawrence until it goes back up to full. And when it's back up to full, it's just a 4 strength body again. It's again a very, very, very good card for the Amber strategy. But Goofy is just going to make such an impact, I think, early on, that I would recommend picking these up before it goes up even more.
Yeah, and this is the Illuminator's Quest version of this Goofy. As you can see, it does have the Jafar kind of sand dwindling away from the cost and the willpower and whatnot. So this card comes in 3 different versions. The normal legendary you can pull from the pack, a foil version, and then you can also get it exclusive foiling with the Illuminator's Quest. And so it's not going to ever be, I think, too expensive, but it's going to be a relevant card, I think, at least, next format. And that's why I brought it up, Zach, because we got the Lawrence announcement yesterday. I don't think we're getting Mr. Smee back. I'll be real with you. We have Nathaniel Flint as like a 2 cost, like, that's with those stats. And then we got the new Roxanne that was just announced. That feels like a Mr. Smee for Ruby. However, I still feel like this is going to be very relevant. Oh, dude, an Amber Ruby. In an Amber Ruby deck, we're already getting the singers, right? You just kind of play with that concept, and now you have the characters that come in damaged. I think it works. I think it works great. Very, very cool. Very, very interesting. Let's go ahead and just finish up.
It's a Goofy movie deck.
Yes, Goofy movie deck. Yes. Before we call it a day, I do want to finish up real quick with some promos that were announced last week that we didn't get to talk about because of the way the market watch timing was. But if you were on, I believe it's like one of the recent Disney cruises, they gave away 5 pirate promos, and they look pretty sick, and they were selling for a lot actually. They kind of have this somewhat of an enchanted foiling. I think this is going to be similar foiling to what we see that Belle promo that you can get at the California Adventure Parks or like certain Disneyland parks when the new set lands. But they're selling for around $200. Shout out citizens of Lorcana for pointing out the recent sales, but at least $100 for some of these promos. We do have the listings here of the recent sales here for some of the Mickeys, and yeah, they're selling for anywhere from 100 to 200 plus for the Mickeys. And if you want to see what a whole set sold for, a whole set sold for $950 just yesterday. So there's 5 cards in that set, and yeah, if you went on that cruise, it's about $1,000 to get rid of that whole set. Not too bad in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know what it would cost to get on those cruises, but hey, in the comments below, if you happen to know, let us find out the truth. But yeah, this has been an interesting market watch. I think that there's a lot of cards that you can quote unquote make plays on, but we do recommend just doing your own due diligence and research and being mindful of all your situations that are going on, because again, this is just card games, and TCGs do go that way. But yeah, I think some of these prices are somewhat a little higher, especially for the pre-orders on TCG. I do know, for at least myself and Kevin, that for local areas, if you do happen to visit us at our shows, we offer our own pre-orders. So make sure to inquire with us if you are in the area and if you do visit us at our shows, because we can help you out most definitely there. But yeah, I do actually have some shout outs for some people that have been making some bigger deals with me. So of course, I just need to shout out my boys Cello and Noah. I always appreciate the support. You guys have been crushing it. Noah has been taking down some set champs in the local area, so I really appreciate you. And Kai's Casual, shout outs to you. I know you do your Twitch streams, but thanks for coming by and giving me very, very good deal. Honestly, I really appreciate you. So yeah, thank you so much again. But yeah, also breaking news, we have a Mama Odie that has been graduated, as well as the Montanui. So yes, this
Yes.
is the Montanui and Mama Odie's from set 3. And these are some cards to
Nice.
really give Sapphire a different identity of like ink, getting cards into your inkwell from the top of your deck. And Mama Odie does that when you play a song. Mountanui will do that when you have a character there at his banish. It puts it into the inkwell like it's the Grandma Tala from set 1. And yeah, these were just recently revealed. So we just want to have some breaking news here at the end of the market watch. But Kevin, do you have anything to say before we go?
I wonder if they're going to give us Fishbone Quill back or not. I feel like they're giving us a lot of ramp that is not Fishbone Quill. And as someone who enjoys comboing off Fishbone Quill with Clarabelle, I'm a little concerned, but I am super excited for the rest of Fabled. A huge shout out to everyone who supports the Lorcana Goons channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. And same thing, huge shout out to everyone who comes to support us in person. Thank you for always including that, Zach Stone, because there are some people who come by and they're like, yeah, I've never heard of this place. Like, where I've been. They're like, I've never been here before. I've only heard of it on the channel. I didn't even know they had this, and that here. So that's always really cool. Huge shout out to all the Lorcana content creators who are revealing cards. Make sure you guys keep up with all of that information. Join our Discord. We have some active Discord members of the community who are constantly posting the card reveals. So for me, at least, it's been a very reliable source of like, oh, any cards revealed, and it's always cool to have those conversations with you guys in there. So if you guys ever want to chop it up with us, feel free to join our Discord. Remember, guys, we do videos every Monday, talk about the meta. Friday, we talk about the market. Thursday, Zach and I live stream, and Wednesday, I'm trying to live stream myself. But until then, remember to stay tuned to Lorcana Goons, and we'll see you guys next time.